the future has never looked so bright for Tesla. So
Q3, best quarter in history. Record production deliveries, record revenue, record net income. It's flawless. Flawless execution. Even in a time of COVID, they ended up doing everything right.
They don't understand. They're going to get wiped out by Tesla if they don't go all in on EVs.
Tesla has just been profitable for the 5th time in a row. The future of Tesla, the company, has never been brighter. But shouldn't the stock be higher?
When your money's making money, you can spend your money and keep it too.
I'm JC. Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about how come Tesla has never been positioned more powerfully, and yet its stock is not at an all-time high. And how the big auto companies continuously fail to offer any serious competition. But before we get started, if you enjoy finding out about great companies to invest in, or if you would like to just become a much better investor, then please smash that like button, turn that thumbs up blue, subscribe to my channel, and share my videos on social media. Before we talk about the stock, we have to discuss Tesla's stratospheric performance by recapping Tesla's all-time high best quarter ever.
And it was a blowout quarter, ladies and gents. It reported a 5th consecutive quarter of profits, beating analyst estimates handedly.
Now, Tesla reported last night, and while the stock barely budged today, the fact is they delivered some fantastic results. Then with $1.4 billion in cash flow, double what Wall Street was looking for, Tesla hit its aggressive U.S. build targets for the quarter, and they still think they can make 500,000 Model 3 and Model Y units in America this year, along with another 250,000 Model 3s in China.
And this is all happening during a pandemic.
Elon Musk is even planting the flag in the global capital of the auto industry with a Berlin plant that will start producing cars from Europe next year. We'll see the Tesla truck made in Austin sometime next year, too. They've left the old school automakers in the dust. At this point, it's not even a fair comparison. Even though Tesla spent $2.4 billion on new production capacity, service centers, and supercharging locations, among other items, their cash still increased by $5.9 billion, bringing their total hoard up to $14.5 billion. Now, I can remember only about a year ago when people still worried that Tesla was functionally bankrupt. Now I can argue that it's got the best balance sheet in the industry.
Tesla has enough cash to fund every project and buy any company they want. They have reached a point where they have achieved an almost magical, ever-increasing amount of cash.
And they've got over $14 billion in cash, which is greater than their debt level.
And they can survive any unforeseen disaster for years.
How many CEOs wish they could kick off their call with saying, and I quote, "All right, so Q3 was our best quarter in history. We achieved record production deliveries, record revenue, record net income, both GAAP and non-GAAP, and record free cash flow of $1.4 billion, end quote." He finishes saying, quote, "I've never felt more optimistic about the future of Tesla than I do today. I think there's a lot more good stuff to come," end quote. Listen, this guy has taken a situation that was easy to dump on, where many analysts had sell readies in the stock, some of them even predicted bankruptcy, and he's turned it into a $400 billion business.
Part of the reason that Tesla is so far ahead of their competition is because of the complete failure of Big Auto to create a serious solution.
At this point, Tesla's transcended the auto industry. It is a tech company that's figured out how to store clean energy and then use it to fuel cars and who knows what else. Most automakers have to spend more money advertising than Tesla spends on building new factories. Tesla, on the other hand, doesn't need to advertise. Product markets itself.
This is true. Big auto companies do spend more on advertising than Tesla spends on factories. They're like old dogs that can't learn new tricks. It doesn't matter whether or not the advertising works. They just keep doing it year after year. Just imagine the position that Ford and GM could be in if 5 years ago they stopped throwing $5 billion a year away in advertising. And instead, they took that money and invested it into developing electric vehicle technology. If they had done this, right now, they could be producing real electric vehicles in numbers that matter. Take a look at this chart. This shows the deliveries for General Motors and Ford since the year 2016. Every year, they sell fewer and fewer vehicles. Now let's have a look at Tesla's chart. Tesla is increasing at a rate of 40 to 50% per year.
Do you think that the electric Hummer could really be GM's go at Tesla?
I think GM is not smart enough to go with Tesla. GM is an old company with old ideas. And that's one of the reasons why Tesla stock is strong today, is people realize, that GM has given it all she's got, and it's nothing.
The same thing with the Hummer. So how many Hummers can they make in 2022? My guess is less than 10,000. So this is a non-event. To say you've sold out a few trucks is a non-event, and nobody's going to buy a $120,000 truck when they can buy the same ICE truck for 50 grand. And so what GM is doing is trying to sell more ICE cars by making the EV so expensive that nobody's going to buy it.
General Motors truly dropped the ball with the Hummer. The sad thing is, the electric Hummer is actually a really great truck. But the way that GM is promoting and selling this vehicle is ridiculous. It's as if they don't want to sell these vehicles at all. First of all, this vehicle is way too expensive. For $113,000, you get a 350-mile range, where you could get a Cybertruck with a 500-mile range for $70,000. And even if you want to buy this truck, you can't, because the vehicle that's available next year is sold out. Obviously, they're just trying to get credit for making a vehicle that they're not really making. How could it be sold out? The Cybertruck has over 500,000 reservations, and it's not sold out. So this is their plan? After spending a fortune on Super Bowl ads, they're only going to make like 10,000 trucks? And to top it all off, their affordable $79,000 mass market vehicle is not going to even be available until 2024. These are not the actions of a company that is trying to transition to electric energy. These are the actions of a company that is spending a fortune on public relations instead of innovation. I can only think of two possibilities. Either they don't want to sell these trucks, or they can't. Because you can't make an electric truck if you don't have a battery and a motor to put in it. It looks like GM is just trying to stall until they're able to produce the batteries and motors required for electric vehicles. But the crazy thing is, it doesn't seem as if they have a serious plan to ever produce the batteries in the quantities that will be required to transition to electric vehicles.
Because other companies have failed at creating any sort of EV solution. When they know they can, they just don't want to invest the money. Everybody wants an EV. They're better cars and they're cheaper to operate. And that's irrelevant of full self-driving. And when trucks come out in 2 years, boy, that's going to be a whole nother industry to watch out for, that Tesla's going to just blow up.
If you want to hear more about this, you're in luck. I made an entire video where I compared the Hummer EV to the Cybertruck. I'll put the link up there somewhere so you can check it out. We have reached the point where we have established the competence of Tesla as compared to the incompetence of other auto companies. Get to the point already. Why isn't Tesla stock higher? One reason why the stock is not higher is that the majority of investors listen to analysts, and analysts have been horribly wrong when it comes to Tesla stock.
Elon Musk, he makes cars, but he's fully integrated. Whatever he makes, he's going to sell. There's no dealer network, and now he's starting to say the same thing in China. So what you see is a frictionless model. So you have the analysts who don't know what to do. They really don't, because they've been wrong. David, they've been so wrong that it's better just to say, you know what?
Even though analysts are slowly coming around to liking Tesla stock, there is another problem. There's not an unlimited number of investors in the stock market. And as good as Tesla Q3 was, it was not exactly surprising to investors. Right after Tesla's earnings call, a friend of mine asked me what I felt about the quarter in a text. Here's my response to the text. Just as I expected, Tesla beat all the numbers. Best quarter ever, just like they usually do. Boring. Stock should go higher. It's boring because I knew exactly what was going to happen. Now look, I had no idea what any of the numbers were going to be. I'm not good at predicting that. However, I did know they were going to blow away the numbers and it was going to be the best quarter ever until next quarter, at which point the next quarter will be the best quarter ever. Many of us expected the stock to go much, much higher. So therefore, we had already bought our Tesla stock. I mean, I invested in the Tesla stock a while ago. Pretty much everybody who wants Tesla stock already has it. Now, there is some indecision in the area of where Tesla stock goes from here. There's still a lot of people out there in complete disbelief of what happened during this quarter. Many analysts still do not understand Tesla. It's almost impossible for a regular auto analyst to figure out Tesla. You have to have multiple disciplines. In addition to being expert on auto, software, you need to be a computer analyst, an artificial intelligence analyst, understand the workings of battery technology, and also energy. So really you need a team of analysts rather than just a single individual to figure out a company like Tesla.
It's amazing. I can't think of another place and time I've ever seen it.
No, really?
No. I mean, where a company is just, where a CEO is masterful, where a company has done amazing things, and the financials no longer seem. Remember all the short sellers would call you and say, the financials are phony. You take a look at them, maybe this or that.
Yes.
You know, Carl, I know the credits matter, but what really matters, I think, with Teslas is that it's flawless. Flawless execution. Even in a time of COVID, they ended up doing everything right. And Carl, I just read it and I think if this were a tech company, it deserves to sell exactly where it's selling.
Before I address why a stock goes up or down, I want to discuss a couple of basic investing perceptions. So here we go. Number one, when a company is doing well, the stock will go up. When a company is doing poorly, the stock will go down. Therefore, when a stock is down, it must mean that the company is doing poorly. And also, when the stock is up, the company must be doing well. These are extremely common and basic perceptions. They make perfect sense and are very logical. They also happen to be completely false. Generally speaking, the price of a stock goes up and down based on what people think will happen in the future. In the short term, the market is very volatile as it is driven by fear and panic. People are both motivated by the fear of losing money and FOMO, the fear of missing out. Long-term investing is much less volatile than short-term. Here, let's look at the S&P 500 as an example. If you notice, when we're zoomed way into a small segment of time, the stock is up, it's down, it's very volatile. It's hard to predict what's going to happen minute to minute. But as we pull back and look at larger and larger segments of time, it starts to become less and less volatile. We go way back, it really just looks like you're climbing a mountain, like we're driving up the grapevine. And if you go back enough, it really looks just like a straight line, not volatile at all. Which is why I believe that long-term investing is the safest and most secure way to invest. Right now, the story around Tesla stock is confusing many investors. There is so much good news in the stock that people think that the stock should be higher. Usually, stock prices pivot on people's perception of what a piece of news means to a company's future. Except that now, in the case of Teslas, people's perception of the company is changing. There is a group of potential Tesla investors out there. I call them the waiters, because they're waiting for Tesla stock to come down to the levels it was a year ago. Yeah, that would be nice, but personally, I think they're going to be waiting for a while.
But when you think about some of those question marks, it could be tied to the emission credits. Of course, Tesla has benefited from that. Revenues or sales from those credits fell to about 400 million, down from 428 million before here. So maybe that's a question mark when you think about inclusion in the S&P 500. Talk to me about what that might say about that idea, as it remains maybe one of the shaky elements here.
Well, I think that's sort of a unfair way to look at a company. Okay, so here's a company that makes an EV that knows that it gets a credit for taking this enormous risk and making a much harder vehicle that's better for the environment, where making a gas car is easy and it's horrible for the environment. So there's a reason why these credits exist. So to infer that that's not part of the business is I think, disingenuous. I mean, the bottom line is that that's real cash that Tesla gets paid because other companies have failed at creating any sort of EV solution when they know they can. They just don't want to invest the money. So it's real money. They're getting paid this money, and they're going to get paid this money forever into the future while these companies can continue to dither with their ICE vehicles, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, we know the number's going down. It went down this quarter, and we know that other companies out there are increasing their own EV efforts. We saw that with GM earlier announcing more than $2 billion going into their own manufacturing.
Such a half-assed effort, Zach, though. Like, even still, these companies, it's such a half-assed effort. They don't understand. They're going to get wiped out by Tesla if they don't go all in on EVs. Now, other companies are doing it. Rivian, Lucid, they're making nice vehicles. They're all in on EVs, and they'll be successful. But the GMs and the Fords, if they are out of time. The demand for EV cars is off the charts. If these companies understood, like, just build EVs, people want them. Look at the Taycan, not even a great car, the #1 selling Porsche. But they're not even all in. I'm like, Porsche, dude, make a Cayenne. Like, what are you doing? This is exactly what Volkswagen's done. It's exactly what Audi has done. They make crappy EVs so people buy the ICE cars instead. And they say, oh, well, we have an EV. Tesla's winning. They're just going to win big.
So I'm going to finish up talking about growth. Not just any growth, but Tesla's Gigafactory growth. Because electric just announced a bombshell. Tesla announces up to $12 billion in investment for electric car and battery factories in just 2 years. $12 billion in 2 years. Now, I'm going to leak this article so you guys can read it. It's fascinating. But the bottom line here is, after all the money is spent, Tesla should have the capacity to produce over 2 million electric vehicles per year. You know what that means? 3 more factories. So here's a drawing we have of all of Tesla's factories. Some of them are in production, and some are working and in production, and some are completely working, right? But what I'd like to keep in mind is this is Fremont, California factory. Up until the beginning of the year, this was the only factory. This factory was responsible for producing 100% of the vehicles to the whole world. Now we have China. They're making Model 3s. They're still building the Model Y. So right now we have Fremont and half of China. So next year, these 2 factories will be producing at least 1 line of vehicles each. In the next 2 years, we're going to get 3 more factories. Tesla was famous for being able to build 1 factory in a year. Now they're building 2 factories in a year. If you look at these 2 factories here, are producing everything right now. Move forward 3 years, you have a giant amount of production. And not only are these factories building massive amounts of batteries and vehicles so that the world can transition to renewable energy, each one of these factories is most likely going to each to be designing their own car. The point is, this is in 3 years. Now, let me impress on you what it could look like in 6 years. To transition the world to renewable energy, it's going to take a village, a Tesla village. Tesla has an incredible future, and it's extremely difficult to even come up with a multiple when looking 10 years out, let alone 20. So this is just the opinion of a sometimes humble YouTuber, but I predict that Tesla will become the largest company on earth within the next dozen years. And more people start to believe in the Tesla story, there will be more buyers, which will send the stock higher. Much, much higher. Tesla is going all the way to the moon. But it's going to take it a couple of years. You guys got to have some patience. And it's not going to go up in a straight line either. No, it's going to do this. Oh no. And then it's just like it's always done. You're just going to buy Tesla and hang on for the ride. It's like a roller coaster. It can be a lot of fun, or it could scare you to death. It all depends on the person riding the stock at the time. The premise of this video is that the stock of Tesla should be higher because Tesla has never had a brighter future than it has right now. But the question you're asking, the question should be, hey, should I be buying Tesla stock now? If you can find the discipline to be a long-term investor and you buy Tesla today, you can thank me in a few years. So what do you guys think? The future of Tesla looks incredible to me. Do you guys agree or disagree? Please leave me some comments. And if anybody out there is considering buying anything from the Tesla store, like this beautiful shirt, or a Model 3 or Model Y, please consider using my link down there in the bottom. If you enjoy my content and you'd like to see more videos like this one, please smash the like button and please share my videos wherever you can. And remember, when your money is making money, you can spend your money and keep it too.
Please don't buy or sell stocks just because an idiot like JC says so. He's just a YouTuber. He has opinions. You need to make your own decisions. Listen to what JC had said, and then listen to other people. Read some books. It's your money after all. You need to make those decisions yourself.
Thanks for coming by. Until next time, be kind to each other and stay safe.